Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. I'm here with my co-host, my partner in crime, my just got back from the Final Four buddy, Tate Mathews. Tate, first experience for you down there for business.
Yes.
First experience for you at the Final Four. Good times, huh?
It was so cool. Never been before. What a great atmosphere. Doesn't hurt that the four teams there are all college basketball blue bloods, but it was really cool to watch all the fan bases there together. I've been to SEC championships before, been to big bowl games before in football, but I'd never been to Final Four. It's different. The electricity around it was really, really cool. All four fan bases there, the team hotels all right there kind of together. It was pretty neat. You'll love this, showing my age here a little bit. In between the two games, Saturday night, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this older white-headed gentleman next to me, and I'm like, I know this guy. It was Bobby Crimmins.
Oh.
Really nice. So you know me, of course, I talked to him. And
Nice fella.
very nice man. Was there with his wife, and pretty cool, man. Bobby Crimmins, man.
Bobby Crimmins.
Final Four. Remember what year that was?
I know Kenny Anderson played.
Kenny Anderson, 1992. And remember, little side note, Kenny Anderson is now the head basketball coach at Fisk here in Nashville. So I showed him a picture that I'd taken with Kenny Anderson. I'm as tall as Kenny Anderson. Like, that blew my mind. He's the number 2 pick in the NBA draft, and he was 6 feet tall. Man, if he hadn't got hurt, how good was he? He
Very
still
good.
was anyways.
Very good. Hey, and listen, I don't think it hurts your feelings any that Kansas, Adidas School, all the way to the championship game. Bill Self doing a great job as always. I know you were excited about that.
I was very excited. Coach Self and the Jayhawks put on a clinic Saturday night. So hopefully they can pull through. Hey, you're a basketball coach. What about the post game of Kansas? You just don't see that much anymore. Is it safe to say they're doing – now they get talent, but is it safe to say they're doing that as well as anybody right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game has become layups and threes.
Yes.
Which I
You kind of subscribe to
sort
that.
of like, because I'm good at math. 3 is more than 2. But no, it's got an old school. Carolina's post guy too. That's kind of got an old school feel about it too, but not like Kansas.
No.
Not like Kansas. So you were there for an historical event.
Yep.
Coach K's last game, and listen, this is not a college show, but it's relevant, right? Sports. North Carolina will forever have bragging rights. Last game at Cameron for Coach K, Carolina wins. Only time they've ever met in the tournament, it was in the Final Four. Coach K's last game, that has to eat at him.
Oh, without a doubt. And it was pretty cool. You know, it was the Duke faithful showed up for sure, but so did those Carolina. The intensity in the Superdome definitely got turned up a notch in that second game from the first one. It was pretty cool. But yeah,
and
Coach
our man
K,
Charles Pulliam.
he was there. That's right. Big
Final
Duke
Four.
fan.
Big Duke fan.
Bad night for him.
Trajan Langdon from Alaska.
That's why he likes him. I think. It's
Yeah,
a big part.
big part of it.
Yeah. But I will say this. It was really cool. I've been to football games, and it gets pretty ugly, you know. I didn't see anybody arguing or, you know what I'm saying? It was a great atmosphere, and for the most part, I saw everybody there acted like they had sense. So
Yeah,
really neat.
I would agree with that. I definitely would agree. And speaking of North Carolina fans, some big news here in the district. Not really a surprise, I don't think, for either one of us. Jay Johnson, head coach for Franklin's girls basketball over the last 3 years, including a 17 and 13 year this past year, did a good job. He stepped in when Coach Wild left. They needed a little bit of stability. I thought he gave that to them. Staying on as athletic director, and of course the storied history as the boys coach for Coach Johnson. Obviously, he was the starting point guard on our only boys or girls state championship basketball team back in '89. Over 200 wins as the boys coach, 6 20-win seasons and a 30-win season. And by the way, Coach Johnson, he's part of this week's gym, Tate. This seems unbelievable we've talked about this before, but this is not fiction. 58 straight district wins when he was coaching the boys.
You
remember this, right?
Yes.
With,
I didn't remember it was 58, but I knew it was a lot.
Troy Allen was coaching down at Hillsboro at the time. It wasn't like it was just a easy breezy.
D. King was at Brentwood.
It was tough.
Right. We weren't playing against the county dump or the country dump or
58?
even the Donaldson dump. I mean, we're playing against some really good teams. So 58, yeah, that's unbelievable.
It's really. I don't. That would
I'm
never be
guessing.
touched.
I'm guessing. I know a big fan of the show and a good friend of yours and now a friend of mine. But I'm guessing Jimmy Weekley was a part of that 58 straight or no?
No.
He wasn't a part of those?
No.
Well, how long does 58?
No, he played for Gary Weiler.
But I thought he played his last year for Jay.
No.
He didn't? Okay. Well, dang.
No, Gary Weiler.
He's laying the foundation.
Laying the foundation.
There you go.
But Coach Johnson, great guy. One of the, I always rooted, when I was at Beach, I always rooted from afar for Jay to make it as a coach to the state tournament. That's probably one thing if you ask him, like, man, I wish we could have. But, it's hard to make it.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people there that you could say this about. It's Coach Webb, but the guy has been the head boys coach, the head girls coach, and the athletic director, staying on as athletic director, played there. I don't know if anybody loves Franklin High School more than Jay Johnson.
I would agree. So good luck to Coach Johnson. Of course, we'll still be seeing him as the athletic director there at Franklin High. Hey, talk about this, Tate. I thought this was pretty neat. This is kind of a trend you're seeing now. Mm-hmm. The Memphis football team coming down and practicing, having a scrimmage, basically, at Centennial High School this past weekend.
I think it's really smart on Memphis's part, and as you know, from traveling, going to the state tournament, and just on the high school level on a basketball, I mean, that's not cheap to do. They don't just, put on their pants and carry their helmets and shoulder pads on and drive over on the bus and go home. So there was a cost that went to that, but I think it's very smart on Memphis's part. They, for whatever reason, they don't have a real good presence here in Middle Tennessee, and as you can tell by every year when the signings come out, there's a lot of players here that are going other places than Tennessee or Vanderbilt or wherever. So I think it's very smart on their end. I think this is probably where it came from, not positive. One, Centennial is right there in the middle of Cool Springs and everything and off the interstate. Coach Jordan Hankins, who was a longtime mid-state high school coach here, he coached with Coach Kreisky's, the Riverdale Kreisky, the Rutherford County Kreisky at Riverdale, and he's good friends with Coach Matt Kreisky as well. So I'm sure that had part of it, but I think it was very, very smart for them. I mean, we all like to pull for people that we were familiar with and we like, and so I would say you're going to see more of it. I don't know why others don't do it, but, I guess they got their reasons.
I like it. Hey, and you know what? The Memphis job kind of reminds me of the basketball job at Murray State.
Yeah.
Think about the guys who've had that job. That's a great job.
Oh, yeah.
Usually that's a
stepping stone.
It leads us out, and it's not. I don't think it's necessarily that people want to leave. It's just that ends up being a big contract.
Right.
When you leave there to go to Florida State or wherever
Virginia
you're going.
Tech.
Yeah, wherever you're going, right? So I certainly get that, but you're right. We need some players, or they need some players from WCS going to Memphis, and you'll see it if they continue to do this type thing.
If they'll continue to do this type thing and then recruit our schools, which I think, especially with Coach Hankins being on staff there, you're going to see more and more of that. So, and they got a good product to sell. Plus, it's only 3 hours. Well, maybe not even quite
Right.
3. If you're leaving from Independence and Summit, it's probably a little under. So, yeah, I think it's really smart. And again, shout out to you and the district. It's a lot easier to do these things when you have a turf field.
Yeah, it makes sense.
You don't have to worry about tearing it up in the spring, and so, it's just it just opens up a bunch of doors.
I love, one of the things I really like about the turf, and I think some football coaches, let's be honest, might prefer natural grass, but the look of it. Anytime you see an event
Yes.
on the turf, when the Suns, I think about the flag football and what happened with Memphis coming in. It's just got this first-class kind of look to it.
It does.
It really does.
It does.
Now, if you end up with a couple burns on you, I mean,
Yeah, but it's not like
it's not like the old days.
It's not like
Veteran Stadium.
The Clinic Bowl used to be at Vanderbilt,
Right.
and that was AstroTurf. One, if you slid, it would tear you up. you'd have been better off sliding on a driveway. And two, the padding up under it was probably from when my dad played there. If you hit wrong, I'm sure it was more than likely you were going to be concussed.
Yeah, not a great situation.
What about all the, golly, when did Vanderbilt and Tennessee baseball get so toxic? Jeez Louise.
Tennessee became a good team. They didn't want to, they were trying to avoid that conversation, but now that they're winning, ranked number one in the country, I think. So we'll see it then.
They paid him. Yeah.
We'll see it then.
I'm until somebody, kind of like Coach K, a little bit different, but until somebody beats Corbin when it matters, I'm going with Corbin.
Yeah, that I am too. Hey, Tate, this is something, obviously, an annual event we talk about. Let's move on to track. And I always think it's worthy, because you've got a great knowledge of this, to talk about Scott Hartman and now the invitational, the relays that they have there at Brentwood High School. Talk about that a little bit and what kind of event that is.
Well, first of all, it's been running now for, over 20 years probably. But Scott Hartman, talk about a guy before his time. It's almost Herschel Walker-esque, like the guy. You go by Brentwood High and you'll see a picture of him. He looked different than anybody else did back when he was there. And this is, there were weights and strength and conditioning and things like that, but not like we have now. It wasn't as fine-tuned, and the technology and the facilities and everything. Anyways, he was an unbelievable athlete at Brentwood High, went on to the University of Tennessee, didn't he? Yeah. And but I feel like the meet.
You tell me.
No, he went to Tennessee. I might get it messed up here. He went to Tennessee. The meet he got hurt at, I believe, was Kentucky. Correct?
I think that's right.
That's it, yeah. The hammer throw. And, he lived the rest of his life, but he was, never quite the same. But an unbelievable career, cut short. But he was a big part of Brentwood High and an inspiration for a lot of those athletes for a long time. Afterwards, Coach Sig, I know, is the one who started the Scott Hartman relays. And it's kind of like the GP West Invitational in wrestling, the Father Ryan Invitational in wrestling. It is one of the measuring sticks for track and field in the middle of the season. So a lot of great teams come, and a lot of great performers are there. And if you do well there, you got a pretty good chance to be in good position come the state track meet. So, and usually Brentwood High and Brentwood Academy are the two that win it.
That kind of leads me to our next conversation, because Brentwood Academy is kind of known for having
They got a pretty good track
great track program, but I think maybe they deserve a little bit of a focus in this week's Boat Race City conversation.
Well, if you look at the girls' results, in first place was Coach Steve Brock and the Brentwood High Lady Bruins with 117 team points. Brentwood Academy on the girls' side, 90.5. That's over 26.
Be 28 and a half.
28 and a half.
No, 27 and a half.
Yeah, 27 and a half. In track and field, that is Boat Race City. Coach Brock went up to Pates Ford on Center Hill. He looks like a tri-tune guy, too. He got on the tri-tune, had that thing hammered down, headed over to Sligo, get him a hamburger and cheese. And then on the boys' side, we'll come back to the girls, but on the boys' side, what happened over there? Even worse. Brentwood High 122, Brentwood Academy 77.5. That's a running clock in the second half.
It's almost 45 points.
That's Popcorn City. Thanks for playing, boys, and thanks for being a part of the Boat Race of the Week award. But on the girls' side, Brentwood High number 1, 2 Brentwood Academy, and then Nolensville.
Hey,
you've been pumping them.
Hey, listen, I've been talking about
76.5 team points on the ladies' side. Ensworth number 4 at 69 points. That surprises me, because I don't think they have a full roster, would be my guess. Green Hill, the Hawks at 5th, Ravenwood at 6th, Franklin 7, the Beach Buccaneers 8. They tied with Independence for 8th, and then 10th Battleground Academy. So, congratulations to all those teams. Brentwood High, no let up. They don't rebuild, they reload. And then, like you said, if you're not paying attention in Owensville, you better be, because they're coming.
Listen, I think it's in play. Don't you think about this? I think it's in play that you could see a team state championship for Brentwood, boys and girls track. I think boys is going to be tougher. And soccer. I mean, you could see 3 in a semester.
That'd be big.
It's possible.
Very possible.
You know they're going to have individuals.
It's a given.
A given. Hey, talk about some of those results, Tate, on the girls and boys side individually. Nolensville, I keep saying this, but it's about the depth, obviously. If you look at both, Nolensville had 5 individual winners on the girls' side, 4 on the boys' side, so that's 9. Brentwood had 3 and 4, 7. So it's the depth. That's the big difference. Of course, that's part of it, right? But I'm kind of getting on it's not quite yet to the Bubba Derrick Fairview wrestling train, but I need a conductor's hat.
It's close. I think you should.
I'm telling you, man, I'm getting on the NOLO track train.
We might break the all-time views if you were to put a conductor's hat on. The coach joins, jumping on the train. That would be unbelievable. Well, and here's what's so cool about it. Brentwood's used to doing it, but for Nolensville, listen to all those teams we just mentioned. 5 individual firsts for Nolensville, that's strong. Elise Dobson, we all know about her from last year. She was first place on the high jump, the long jump, and the 100 hurdles. Let me tell you something, boys and girls. She is by far the favorite to win the pentathlon this year. I cannot wait to see it. It's going to be. We need to get up there because she can do them all.
It'll be at Brentwood.
It'll be at Brentwood?
We're doing that part because Austin Peay can't host or wherever they were going to have it, and they're going to do that part of the state meet at Brentwood High.
Well, it'll be. I'm sure she's probably practiced there before, but not to put too much pressure on her. I'm sure she doesn't worry about the predictions on this show, but I think she's going to run away with the pentathlon, I hope. But high jump, long jump, and the 100 hurdles, she was first place. Claire Stegall of Nolensville, she got first in 1600 and the 3200 by, 16 seconds and 28 seconds. So I'd say Claire Stegall gets a boat race city on her events, especially the 3200.
I mean,
from the other day.
You have to almost have a double take.
That's almost. I mean, that's hard to believe. That looks like a typo.
And keeping in mind now, we got Miss Halterman out at Independence in those events, and she's no slouch.
No slouch.
I mean, she can do it too. So pretty impressive. The 4x, Brentwood, you always talk about them there. They win 3 of those.
Franklin got the 4x2.
Yeah, they did.
That's pretty strong.
They did. They're always in the mix too.
300 hurdles, Yukina Wakasuki from Franklin, and then the 800 Jordan Rail of Ravenwood. Again, I like seeing several schools represented there.
No doubt.
It's going to be fun at the state track meet. Boys side, Brentwood High, as we mentioned, 122. Brentwood Academy, 77.5. Boat race. Ravenwood, right under them, 74.5. Nolensville, 74. Franklin, 66. So, by my math, 4 of the top 5 on the boys side, all Wilco. Green Hill at 6th. Battleground Academy, 7th. Ensworth, 8th. The Beach Buccaneers at 9th. Independence at 10. Individual results, Anthony Dodd, first place in the shot put.
Keep hearing that name in shot put.
Yes, sir. I think he's got a real good chance come state tournament. You know this guy does. The 1600 and the 3200, Brody Chapman. So that was, we just dominated that event, boys and girls. 4x2, 400 and 800 Brentwood. Is there anything more exciting than track and field than watching the dang relays?
No.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. High jump. I know this jumped out at you. DJ and Donovan Starr from Ravenwood take first and second.
Transfer portal.
Been very good to the Raptors. Discus, Mason Green from Ravenwood, and long jump in 200, Sterling Weldon of Nolensville. Sterling's another name. If you haven't been paying attention, you'll hear more from him.
Hey, listen, I'm telling you, and I keep saying this, so this will be the last time maybe for a while.
Till next week.
Grimes and Dobson. That's going to be tough now. When you're talking Wilco, that one's going to be tough.
Hey,
in terms of track athlete of the year.
Correct. It's going to be, that's a tough one. Make sure you stay up to date on it. Be informed. Not you, but people voting.
Voters, that's right. Let's talk a little baseball and softball, Tate. Independence took 2 of 3 over Summit in a big district matchup. They're in game 2. Cooper Hargrove with the win for Independence. Jace Kirby, we know that name, right?
Yes, we do.
2 for 3 for Summit in that particular game. Here's one. It's been kind of quiet, but Coach Moore told me. He said, look out for us this year. Centennial with a series sweep.
Yes.
Over Brentwood. Here's what I thought was just crazy. If you look at game 2 in that series, they're down 11-10 with 2 outs in the 6th. They have a 2-out rally, and they were down 8-0 after 2 innings in that particular game. Ryan Sweeney, Malachi Moore, Cannon Plowman, Max Weinberg with multiple hits, Aaron Walton 3 for 5 for Brentwood. But look out for Centennial, look out for Franklin. Franklin with the sweep over Hillsboro. So not that those teams haven't been good, but we're not totally used to recently mentioning those teams as a lookout team.
Yeah, well, it's always like this in baseball. I can't ever figure us out in baseball, but I don't think if we had picked the Centennial Brentwood series, not saying you or I wouldn't have picked Centennial necessarily, but I don't think anybody would have picked a sweep.
No.
And then Brentwood goes out and, up until then had really been taken care of. It takes care of Ravenwood, So I can't ever keep up with it. But Coach Moore, and by the way, that Malachi Moore, there's another one.
Little Coach Moore,
has been telling me, we're talented, man. When we put it all together, Centennial is tough. You just saw that there. But it's going to be like this. This is what I think is going to happen. Just when one of them starts to separate themselves a little bit, we start thinking, Centennial is the best team. Somebody's going to get them. Or Franklin's the best team.
That happened a little bit with Summit last year.
Yes.
Remember how they started so strong, and then by the end they kind of petered out a little bit, but you just don't know. Injuries, pitching.
And I want to say this, Jace Kirby, you mentioned Coach Kirby's son, man. He has been through a lot with his arm.
He has.
Tough kid, determined kid, and it's really cool to see him come back and have success because a lot of young people would have said, I'm done with this.
Hey, and listen, Coach Fay, if you're listening out there, get Jace to play some hoops again.
That's right.
He can play.
Yeah.
He can play. He really can. So that would definitely help. Hey, how about, I thought this was kind of cool. If you look at Nolensville in softball and baseball, couple of no-hitters. Ethan McIlvain, 15 strikeout, 8-0 no-hitter over Giles County. Then you look at softball, Rylan Smith. I think she had something like 78 strikeouts in 36 innings. She gets 16 strikeouts in a 2-0 win over Summit.
Yep.
And to me, Summit, the power in softball sort of shifted to Summit the last few years.
I think they're going to have to do a fundraiser for more softballs with all the strikeouts that Rylan Smith has had. I mean, she's been doing that. So it really is. Those pictures are phenomenal of all those balls. Great. And I'm pretty sure, Coach, McIlvain's strikeout no-hitter, I'm pretty sure it was a perfect game.
It's unreal.
Which I asked Coach Hudson, I said, that's my baseball ignorance is sometimes not great. I was like, Coach, that's pretty rare, right?
Right. No walks, no errors, nothing.
Nothing. Nobody got on base.
That's right.
And he said it's the first, Coach Hudson played at Overton back when Overton was Overton, played at Middle Tennessee, been with Coach Kirby at Summit and however many state tournaments at Nolensville. He's been on a lot of good baseball teams. He said that's the first one he's ever been a part of.
Pretty exciting.
And he's a junior, right?
A junior, and he looks like a junior in college.
Good gracious.
Big rascal, good player. Centennial 10-9 over Brentwood in softball. Another one
Sermon
of those.
getting it done.
Yeah, no doubt. Down 5-0 in that game. They come back, end up winning there at the end. And then Brentwood, I want to shout out Coach Powell and the Brentwood team. They didn't play in it. They don't play in their invitational. It's a big fundraiser for them. But we had Fairview, Franklin, Nolensville, Summit all in the draw. Shout out to Ravenwood High School. They make the semifinals in their bracket. So congratulations to Ravenwood. Congratulations to Brentwood for a tournament that was really, really good.
Real quick on that, I'm glad you said that. I'd never heard of that before until Coach Powell got to Brentwood. Maybe you had, but
It's rare, but it makes sense.
Yep. It's their big fundraiser. They make sure they're there to work it and make sure it runs well. And it's, everybody that comes to it always says they loved it.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool, man.
And Crockett's a good setup for that.
It's a great setup for it. Plus, you're in Brentwood. How can you not be happy about being there? And back to the Centennial thing too. We've talked about this a lot. If they just had some consistency in that softball program, it can be a good program. I don't think Coach Serban's going anywhere. I don't think you do either. And you can see it.
Yeah.
They've gotten better every year. He's going to turn them into one of the contenders.
Well, it's been that way. Let's just be honest. Franklin girls basketball. It's not that it can't be done, but what have they had? 5 coaches in 10 years? You just can't do it.
Can't do it.
Because you're always starting over. And so, and we're good about this at the high school level. We don't have a quick trigger when it comes to getting rid of people. You got to give people a chance to develop their program.
It's called building a program.
That's what it is. Can't build it if different people are always coming in. Hey, final conversation here today, Tate. Girls flag football. Just to give you some results at Centennial. Centennial, and I love this. They're playing Brentwood in game 1. It's 27-20. They score with 31 seconds left. 27-26. Coach Kreisky on the extra point. They go for 2. They score. They defeat Brentwood 28-27 for their first win of the year. And then Fairview, hey, listen, still undefeated, 32-14 over Brentwood. And then Centennial was only 26-20. I'm telling you, between week 1 and 2, Centennial may be the most improved team.
Yeah, I think so too. We've had at least 2 of those scoring with under 30 seconds left. I think you said 31, but I bet Coach Kreisky was going nuts when they got that.
He was pumped up about it. I saw the hat off one time. I'm like, okay, he's into it.
Coach Hughes, 4-0.
4-0.
He's loving it too, man.
He's loving it. Out at Page, another team that's on the rise.
Yes.
3-1, and their only loss to Franklin, which obviously isn't a bad loss if you look at Franklin being 4-0. They defeat Summit. They defeat Nolensville. Summit defeats Nolensville there in the middle game. And then at Ravenwood, this is the one everybody was talking about. Ravenwood beats Indy 20-0, Franklin 13-0. Then the final game of the day, both were undefeated. Dr. Defense comes through, 6-0 win. And now, think about this now. Ravenwood had scored 48, 41, 20,
yes,
and they're held scoreless. I'm telling you.
By the doctor of defense.
And he was fired up about it.
I guarantee it.
Well, he didn't show it. But
he said on Twitter he didn't have anything to do with it. It's not a coincidence that Ravenwood had scored 108 or 109 points in 3 games, and then Dr. D is on the other side. So.
Well, I noticed, I was telling you, because Ravenwood scored on turnaround and getting touchdown. I noticed Franklin kind of flying to the ball, right?
And tell them what they were doing. This is brilliant.
Well, you've got somebody coming through the line, and they've got young ladies on either side. There's nowhere to spin or.
They're bracketed.
Yes, that's right. I'm telling, that was obviously by design. And both of those teams are really good in the secondary. Like when you try to throw the ball against either one of those teams, not happening.
Yeah.
Not deep anyway.
Yep.
So I think when it gets down to it, this is not going out on a limb, Fairview, Franklin, Ravenwood feels kind of like a toss-up to me by the end of the season.
I'll give you credit. You've been saying Franklin since, in your 4, you've been saying Franklin since before the season started. Now, you had a little inside information. You were over there, and you saw them moving around, practicing a little bit, which is, that's fair. Use the intel that you have.
It's part of the research, man.
But would you like to tell everybody who's sitting tied atop of the rankings right now?
Fairview, Franklin, both 4-0. They don't play this week. They'll play in the final week. Ravenwood and Page, both 3-1. They'll play this week. Fairview and Page. And then Brentwood, Indy, Centennial Summit, all with one win. Nolensville still looking for their first win. So if you look at the schedule this week, Tate, take a look at the matchups at Page. You've got 3-1 Page versus undefeated Fairview. You've got 4-0 Fairview versus 3-1 Ravenwood, and then Page and Ravenwood both 3-1. That's going to be the place to be this coming weekend in terms of flag football.
Ravenwood, a little bit of overconfidence, do we think? I
No.
mean, is it possible that we started off so hot that we thought we could just come out and I would have liked to have heard Coach Hester's words of wisdom after the game.
Well, I'm going to say this about Coach Hester and Ravenwood. Don't think that this has any impact on the tournament, because it doesn't. I would say this, the only thing that's shaping up to be, if you ask me, I think being 1, the matchup against 4 in the semis, if the seeding holds up, is going to be a little bit different than 2 having to play 3. So we'll see. And by the way, that'll be May 7th, the entire tournament out at Nissan Stadium.
Hey, can anybody go? Do you know this
Yes,
yet?
absolutely.
Wow.
Anybody can go. Check us out on Twitter, WCS CO Athletics. We'll give you more information as that gets a little bit closer. But it'll be here before you know it. We play this weekend. We take Easter weekend off, and then we're back. Yeah, then we're back the following weekend. Yeah, we don't. Got to stay away from Easter and Mother's Day.
You know who does that?
Who?
NASCAR.
Oh, very smart. Makes sense for their clientele.
Oh, for sure. Hey, it's week 2 is just as exciting. This thing is great. It's
fun.
It's unbelievable how much media it's getting and attention it's getting, and I think it's really cool. And then to see, to see on Twitter the names, I'm seeing on Page Lily Wilkin. You know what I'm saying? It's just
it's cool.
It's cool to see the that's what y'all wanted. That's the whole reason we played on Sunday.
And this does not take away
Nothing
from our spring sports. It's an added to. Again, it's a pilot right now. We try to stay away from the other, not practicing too much during the week. But I just think it's already obvious. The momentum's rolling. This will be a sanctioned sport really, really soon.
Less than 5 years?
Without question. That's just my prediction, how it's going. And I think Metro Nashville's going to get involved in this next year a little bit in their county. So I think that kind of shows that some different districts can maybe pull it off.
Possibility of maybe a jamboree, a jambo?
Maybe.
Hey, last thing on the Final Four. I saw Coach Cal and Tubby Smith. I was more excited about seeing Tubby Smith. He's a classy dude, isn't he?
First class guy.
Yeah. He's still doing it.
Well, I'm a big Kentucky fan, and I don't really, listen, there's no moral victories when you're a Kentucky fan, but they beat both finalists by 30 at Kansas, and then Carolina might have been a neutral court.
St. Peter's?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for being here, Tate.
Thank you, brother.
Always enjoy it.
We can do that again.
Oh, yeah, we can do it.
Can't wait for next Monday or
Looking
next
forward.
Wednesday.
Looking forward to it. Thank you for joining us for Sports Connection, and we'll see you next time.